Hey, what's up, everybody? New top 10 list today. Today, we are diving into the massive cinematic world of Stephen King adaptations as I break down my top 10 villains from Stephen King movies. I'm Nick Push. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I got to admit, I'm a sucker, a massive sucker for Stephen King adaptations, even the shitty ones, which there are plenty of shitty Stephen King adaptations that have been brought from book to film. There are plenty of shitty ones, but even those ones, I am a sucker for. I love them. In the 80s, even technically 70s, 80s, 90s, they were just everywhere, and they've continued to this day. As you get into the late 80s, early 90s, some of them really got shitty, but even some of those I enjoy. I don't know what it is. Call it nostalgia, call it just, reliving my childhood. I don't care. Even the bad ones, I still enjoy. So, with that said, today I'm going to break down my top 10 villains from adaptations. Now, I'm only going to do horror movies, okay? So you're not going to see the warden from Shawshank or, anyone from Stand By Me or anything like that. These are the top 10 of mine that come to mind. With that being said, tell me your top 10 or give me your favorite villain from a Stephen King adaptation down below in the comments. I enjoy hearing your guys' thoughts, and something like this, where we all have different thoughts and, there's just like a plethora of different options, are always enjoyable for me. I also kept it to only one villain or antagonist per movie. So some of these, would have a bunch of them, but I just kept it to one. So that being said, let's jump right into number 10. My number 10 is going to be, oh yeah, Stillson, Greg Stillson from The Dead Zone, played expertly by Charlie Sheen, by Charlie Sheen's dad, Martin Sheen. So, if you guys haven't seen The Dead Zone, it is a movie starring Christopher Walken where he gets in an accident and he gets these kind of psychic abilities anytime he touches anyone, and he uses that to save people's lives and shit. And there's a lot of drama and shit like that. I'm actually a big fan of this movie, and I don't think it's talked about enough. But there is a plot when we get towards the end of the movie involving Martin Sheen's character, who's like a governor or senator or something like that, who's running for president. Christopher Walken touches his hand, and he sees the future, and he sees that this guy is going to start World War III. He's going to start some nuke attacks, something like that, and this guy is bad news. So Christopher Walken has to choose between killing this guy or just letting him become president and letting World War III start. The question becomes, if you could stop Hitler before he did everything, would you do it? So, so there's a great scene, at the end where Christopher Walken, as a sniper, he's going to take him out, and, it doesn't work out the way you think it does, but Martin Sheen basically holds a baby up as a fucking shield, and it ruins his political chances. Anyway, he is a bastard of a villain in this. He's paying people off, all kinds of shit. Martin Sheen's really good as a bad guy. He's fine as a good guy, but he's really good as an asshole. So Greg Stillson, senator, governor, I don't know, presidential candidate from The Dead Zone, is my number 10. Number 9, we got a movie that not a lot of people probably have seen. It's from a movie called Needful Things from the early 90s. This is going to be Leland Gaunt. Now, when I was talking about shitty Stephen King adaptations that I still enjoy, Needful Things is definitely one of them. Ed Harris is in there. The wife from Die Hard is in there. And this is basically, Leland Gaunt is basically a guy that comes to a town, opens up an antique shop, and starts selling things, people want, that they've always wanted. They're like most prized things, like on their bucket list of items, whether it's like a Mickey Mantle rookie card or, a high school Letterman's jacket that made him feel important again. He sells it to these people for cheap. But there's always a price, right? It's a Stephen King work, so there's always a price. Craziness ensues in the town. He has, I'll give it to you for this, small amount, but you got to do me a favor. And he's just causing all kinds of chaos across town. He's basically like some type of demon or the devil or something like that. It's a really fun movie. Like I said, is it a good movie? No, it's not good. But I enjoy the hell out of it. It's just one of those guilty pleasures of mine. And I've always enjoyed this character, Leland Gaunt. I think he's an underrated Stephen King character. So he is my number 9. Let's move right along to number 8. My number 8. Oh, yeah, we got Rose the Hat. Uh, Played brilliantly by, is it Jessica Ferguson? Rebecca Ferguson? Something like that. But this is from the movie Doctor Sleep, our most recent movie from the list. Came out in 2019, which is a sequel to The Shining. My God, looking at this picture doesn't do it justice because, she just looks like, a beautiful girl in a hat right now. But she is fucking evil as hell. She's basically sucking the life force, the shine out of all these people, a lot of them children. She is the leader of this group that just, sucks the shine out of people. And they're just a brutal scene, in the middle of the movie where they kill what's called Baseball Boy. They kill this boy. And, he asks her, is this going to hurt? And she goes, yes. And just the way she says it and hearing this kid scream, it's just brutal. She is as dangerous and alluring as any character in any Stephen King movie. And I like Dr. Sleep a lot. So Rose the Hat is my number 8. Number 7. We got the Reverend. I think he's called Reverend Lowe from Silver Bullet. Another probably what most people would consider a shitty Stephen King adaptation. It's a werewolf movie. And this Reverend is the one in town who has become a werewolf. And as soon as we find out it's him, and him and Corey Haim kind of know about each other, this guy just turns it on even in human form. As you can see, he looks pretty badass here with the eye patch, which he got from Corey Haim's firework. And he is literally trying to kill a young kid in a wheelchair. And he's wearing the cloth of the Lord as he does it, which is pretty terrifying. So just a lot of great scenes with him. He's like Rose the Hat and like some of these other characters, just a bastard. And he's also kind of a victim, right? But yeah, he's a good character. I love the movie Silver Bullet. Got a lot of heart to it. But yeah, Reverend Lowe from Silver Bullet is my number 7. Moving right along, let's get to number 6. My number 6, unconventional. We got the car Christine. Christine is, what is it? Some type of 1950s car, and he slowly, he or she, I guess it's a she, slowly creates Arnie Cunningham's descent into madness. And there's just so many good scenes, with the car. I mean, we finally got John Carpenter and Stephen King, 2 horror legends, collaborating together, pretty much, right? I mean, in a manner of speaking, Carpenter directing a King adaptation. But between those two minds here, the film just works brilliantly. And the fact that he can make a car scary is pretty awesome. I mean, look at this badass picture here with it on fire. I mean, Christine, classic movie, is my number 6. Top 5, people. Top 5. Number 5 is going to be, Kurt Barlow from Salem's Lot, which was a TV miniseries that came out in the late 70s. I want to say 79, but I stand to be corrected on that. This is one of the Stephen King adaptations that I've been just itching to rewatch. I can never find it streaming anywhere. I haven't seen this in probably 20 years. But this character, along with another scene of some kid knocking on the window, has just been stuck in my brain for a very, very long time. So that just shows you the power of this performance and this character. Probably the most dated movie on this list. Look at it's just a classic vampire, but he's terrifying. He is just terrorizing that town. And there's been a couple other adaptations of this, but nothing compared to the terror of the original miniseries from the late 70s. So Kurt Barlow from Salem's Lot is number 5. Number 4, movie I just watched last night. Gage, Miko Hughes. Yes, like a fucking 2-year-old from Pet Sematary 1989. I fucking love Pet Sematary, but man, it is a depressing movie, just, about grief and all kinds of things. It's just crazy how it could make this little kid terrifying, but it did. And this is where, you could choose multiple characters from a movie, whether it's church, whether it's just, the Indian burial ground in general. But Gage, when Gage comes back, when he brings Gage back from the dead, and Gage, kills Judd, that slice to the Achilles, my God. And then he kills his mom. And then, the dad has to, kill Gage again. It's just, it's just such a terrifying and just brutal scene to watch. And anything with Gage, just laugh, I want to play with you. And then he laughs, and it's just crazy. It's crazy how they could make a kid like this, a 2-year-old, terrifying. But I'll be damned, they did it. So Gage from Pet Sematary is my number 4. All right, top 3, people. Number 3, Annie Wilkes from Misery. My God, Kathy Bates is fantastic. I mean, she's fantastic in everything, right? Kathy Bates is awesome. But she is just brutally terrifying in this movie. The way she's just obsessive, and she comes off as sweet, and then you see these different sides to her come out. And, she's got the knife here, but she also had a sledgehammer. And just, as the movie unfolds and you see more and more of her obsession and just, screws loose in her head, it just becomes more and more terrifying. And I am glad I am not stuck in her house, because she is just a terrifying villain. And just another example of Stephen King taking someone that might not seem terrifying and making them terrifying. So Misery, directed by Rob Reiner, great movie. And Annie Wilkes is my number 3. All right, top 2. I've debated back and forth in my head how to put these two, because it's really 1 and 1A. But someone's got to be number 2, and my number 2 is going to be Jack fucking Torrance, played by Jack fucking Nicholson. My God, the performance here is fantastic. Once again, could have chose the Overlook, right? Could have chose the O'Grady twins, right? But nobody beats Jack Torrance in this movie. Jack Nicholson, like I said, plays him fantastically, and just seeing his descent into madness, and it just becomes terrifying. You put yourself in Wendy Torrance's shoes. My God, what do you do here? I mean, she held her own against him, but Jack, he had a lot of baggage. You could tell when the movie started, but this hotel just brought it out of him. And once it's slow, right? But once that switch flips, and Jack is full on nuts, it is a terrifying ordeal, and it's a lot of fun to watch him just go nuts in the Overlook. So Jack Torrance is my number 2. But for me, there can be only one Stephen King's best villain. Like I said, I wanted to put Jack Torrance there, but the childhood fear in me brings me back to Pennywise. Now, either adaptation works, right? I'm a Tim Curry Pennywise guy, but if you want to choose Skarsgård, that's fine with me. I thought he fit the newer movies quite well. But there's not too many horror villains I've had nightmares about. I've had nightmares about Tim Curry's Pennywise the Clown. I remember watching this miniseries when I was really young, and it was terrifying. It's very dated now, especially being that it was TV, right? So, no swearing and all kinds of shit. The violence is, cutaways and stuff like that. But there's just such an ominous feel to this movie. And Tim Curry can go from, laughing to sinister in a fucking heartbeat. And you buy that he is the embodiment of evil, and he's everything you've ever been afraid of. It's so good. So good. I love Pennywise as a character. Don't like the end. Don't like some of the other shit from the book, where he's a turtle controlling the world, all that shit. The less said about that, the better. The less said about how he's defeated, the better. But when he is in Pennywise's form, especially in, it chapter 1 or the first part of the movie, whatever you want to call it, he is terrifying, and you really buy that he is killing all these kids. So those are my top 10 Stephen King adaptation villains. Like I said, tell me yours down below. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you on the next one.